Just imagine this. You've built a life inside these four walls. It's not just a house. It's your family's sanctuary. It's where your children took their first steps. It's where you celebrate holidays and weather life's storms. You pay your mortgage on time, every month. You pay your home insurance premium faithfully, believing it's your ultimate safety net. You believe you're protected. Now, imagine that sanctuary literally crashing down around you. And then, imagine the very company you trusted to help you, the one you paid for years, sends you a check for $0. Nothing. This isn't a nightmare scenario I invented. This is my life. This is exactly what happened to me and my family. And today, I'm telling you this story for one simple reason. To make sure it never, ever happens to you. My name is David. And this is the story of how my home insurance team sent me a blank check after my roof collapsed. Stay with me, because what you learn in the next few minutes could save you from financial ruin. It started with the rain. Here in Columbus, USA, we're used to a bit of rain. But this was different. It was a relentless pounding downpour that lasted for 3 days straight. I remember looking out the window at the driveway, which looked more like a river. But the house had always been solid. We had no reason to worry. Then on the third night, we heard it. A sound I will never forget for the rest of my life. It was a deep groaning crack, followed by a thunderous crash that shook the entire second floor. It wasn't loud like an explosion. It was a heavy, sickening sound of weight giving way. The kind of sound that freezes the blood in your veins. My wife and I shot out of bed. Our kids started screaming from their rooms. We ran into the hallway. The ceiling above our staircase was sagging, and a fine dust was drifting down through the air. A section of the roof over our spare bedroom had completely caved in. Water was pouring in, not in drips, but in a steady stream, soaking the carpet, the walls, everything. The room was destroyed. In that moment, it wasn't about the stuff. It was about the sheer violation. Our safe place was broken. The wind and the rain were inside our home. But amidst the panic, a single calming thought emerged. We have insurance. This is exactly what it's for. We're going to be okay. The next morning, after a sleepless night spent moving valuables and placing buckets everywhere, I made the call. I called my insurance team. I explained the situation, my voice probably still shaking. They were polite, professional. They took all the details and said the magic words. An adjuster will be assigned to your claim. They will be in touch within 48 hours. I felt a wave of relief. The system was working. The adjuster came. Mr. Henderson. He was a serious-looking man with a clipboard and a very nice camera. He took dozens of pictures of the damage, of the roof, the attic, the soaked drywall. He asked me questions about the home's maintenance. I answered everything honestly. I had nothing to hide. I remember him pointing at the ruined roof beams. "Quite a collapse," he said, almost admiringly. I nodded, thinking he was seeing the severity, understanding our plight. I was so naive. A week later, the envelope arrived. It was from my insurance company. This is it, I thought. This is the first step to getting our lives back. My wife stood next to me as I tore it open. Inside was a letter and a check. I pulled the check out. My eyes went straight to the amount boxed on. It was blank. I actually laughed. It must be a mistake. A printing error. Maybe the amount is on the letter. I unfolded the letter. It was a formal claims decision document. My eyes scanned the legalese, looking for a number. And then I found it. The line that made my heart stop. Total claim payable. $0. $0 and 0 cents. I read it again. And again. The words blurred on the page. My wife snatched the letter from my hands. "What does this mean?" "David, what is this?" Her voice was rising in panic. I couldn't answer. I was numb. The safety net wasn't just broken. It had never been there at all. We were standing in a half-destroyed house with a mountain of repair costs ahead of us. And the company we had paid for over a decade had just sent us a literal nothing. A slap in the face made of paper. The emotional whiplash was unbearable. From the terror of the collapse, to the relief of calling insurance, to the utter devastation of that $0 check. Why? How could this possibly happen? What secret clause did I miss? The answer, I would soon discover, was hidden in the smallest, most boring print of my policy document. And it's a clause that's in millions of policies across the country. But before we get to that shocking revelation, we need to talk about the biggest mistake I made. A mistake that practically guaranteed I'd get that $0 check done. So there I was, holding a worthless piece of paper, my life in shambles. The anger started to replace the shock. This had to be a mistake. A terrible error. I called Mr. Henderson, the adjuster. His tone was completely different now. No sympathy. Just cold, hard facts. He directed me to a specific section of my policy. I pulled out the massive document I'd received when I first signed up and had never truly read. I found the section, and that's when my blood ran cold for the second time. It wasn't an error. It was by the book. Their book. And it all came down to one single word that I didn't understand. A word you need to understand right now. That word is exclusion. You see, when we think of insurance, we think it covers disasters. A fire, a tornado, a roof collapse. And it does. But only if the collapse is caused by a specific covered reason. This is the trap. This is how they get you. My policy, and likely yours too, covers roof collapses caused by things like the weight of snow or ice, or a tree falling on it in a storm. But it does not cover a collapse caused by, wait for it, long-term wear and tear, deterioration, or lack of maintenance. Let me say that again. They did not cover the collapse because, according to their inspector, the roof didn't collapse solely because of that massive storm. It collapsed because the underlying wooden structure, the rafters and trusses, had been slowly weakening over years due to a small, persistent leak I never knew about. The storm was just the final straw that broke the camel's back. In insurance terms, the proximate cause of the loss was not the covered peril, the storm rain, but an excluded peril, pre-existing rot and decay. It was a classic heads they win, tails you lose situation. They argued that if the roof had been in perfect condition, it would have withstood the storm. Therefore, the real failure was mine for not maintaining it perfectly. They weren't paying for my new roof because, in their eyes, I was asking them to pay for a roof that was already old and failing. The storm just revealed the problem I already had. I felt so stupid. So tricked. I had paid for a comprehensive coverage, but it was anything but. The reality is that standard home insurance is not a maintenance warranty. It is not a home warranty. It is designed for sudden, accidental, and unforeseen events. Not for things that happen slowly over time. But here's the kicker, the part that made me the angriest. How was I supposed to know? The leak was tiny, hidden deep in the attic insulation. There was no water stain on my ceiling, no dripping, no sign whatsoever. I'm a decent homeowner. I clean my gutters, I replace broken tiles, but I'm not a structural engineer. I don't climb into my attic every month with a moisture meter to check for microscopic leaks. The system is designed for you to fail. The system is designed for you to fail. It's designed so that when a true disaster strikes, they can find a reason, any reason, to point to a pre-existing condition and deny the claim. I felt completely powerless. What can I do? Argue with a multi-billion-dollar corporation? Hire a lawyer? That would cost thousands I didn't have, with no guarantee of winning. The sense of injustice was overwhelming. I had played by the rules, and I still lost everything. I spent days in a fog of despair. But then, something shifted. I decided to turn my anger into energy. I wasn't going to just accept this. I started researching. I read forums. I talked to independent insurance brokers. I even found stories from other people who had been through the exact same nightmare. And I discovered that I was not alone. This is a widespread, common tactic. But I also discovered that there are ways to fight back. There are things you can do before a disaster happens to stack the deck in your favor. And there are steps you can take after a denial that can change the outcome. The game is rigged, but you can learn the rules. And that knowledge is power. So, if you're terrified that you're one storm away from being in my exact situation, keep watching. Because in the final part of this story, I'm going to give you the exact blueprint I wish I had. The steps to make sure your insurance company has your back when you need them most. So, my roof was destroyed, my claim was denied, and I was facing a $60,000 repair bill with no way to pay for it. This is the point in the story where most people would give up. But I refused to let them win. I embarked on a crash course in home insurance, and what I learned didn't just help me. It completely changed my understanding of how to protect my family. And it can change yours too. What happened next was a battle, but it's a battle you can win if you're armed with the right information. The first thing I did was I stopped arguing with the adjuster, and I went over his head. I formally appealed the claim denial with the insurance company itself. This is a crucial step. I didn't just yell. I built a case. I hired my own independent, certified roofing contractor and a public adjuster. Yes, it cost me $1,000. Out of pocket. But it was the best money I ever spent. A public adjuster works for you, not the insurance company. My guy, Mark, came in and did his own inspection. He agreed there was old rot, but he argued fiercely that the unprecedented volume of rain from the storm was the overwhelming primary cause of the collapse. He took detailed photos showing how the sound parts of the roof had also failed under the sheer weight of water, proving it wasn't just a rot. He compiled a new report with evidence and expert opinions and submitted it on my behalf. He spoke their language. He knew the rules better than they did. This is your secret weapon. Insurance companies bank on you giving up. They bank on you not having the knowledge or the resources to fight. Bringing in a professional advocate levels the playing field. After 3 weeks of tense back and forth, the insurance company made an offer. It wasn't for the full amount, but it was for 70% of the claim. It was a compromise. They would pay for the vast majority of the new roof and internal repairs, and I would cover the rest, which accounted for the pre-existing damage they originally cited. It wasn't a total victory, but it was a life-saving compromise. We could finally fix our home. But the real victory was the education. I never want to be in that position again. So, here's your action plan. Your insurance checklist to make sure you are truly covered. First, know thy policy. You have to read it. I know it's boring. I know it's long. But sit down with a highlighter. Specifically, look for the exclusion section. What isn't covered? Look for terms like wear and tear, deterioration, mold, neglect, and water damage. Understand them. If you don't understand, call your agent and make them explain it to you. Record the call. Second, document everything. I now have a dedicated digital folder for my home. It has photos and videos of every inch of my house, inside and out from the roof to the basement, taken every 6 months. This creates a time-stamped record of the condition of your home. If they ever try to claim something was pre-existing, you can prove it wasn't there 6 months ago. Third, get professional inspections. Don't rely on your own eyes. Every 2 years, pay a licensed roofer, a plumber, and an electrician to do a full inspection. They will find the small problems you can't see. Fixing a small leak for a few $100s today can prevent a roof collapse and a denied claim for tens of thousands tomorrow. Keep all the receipts for these inspections and repairs. This proves to the insurance company that you are a responsible homeowner actively maintaining your property. Fourth, consider specialized coverage. A standard policy might not be enough. Talk to your agent about adding endorsements. For example, ordinance or law coverage helps pay for extra costs if you need to bring your home up to current building codes during a repair. Sewer backup coverage is another big one often excluded. You might need to increase your coverage limits if the cost to rebuild your home has gone up. Finally, choose your insurance company wisely. Don't just go for the cheapest premium. Research their customer service ratings and their claims satisfaction scores. Are they known for fighting claims or for paying them? A few extra dollars a month with a more reputable company is worth every penny. My story has a happy ending, but it came at a cost. The financial stress, the emotional toll on my family, it was immense. But we rebuilt both our house and our sense of security. We are now better protected than ever before. Don't wait for your roof to collapse to learn these lessons. We are now better protected than ever before. Don't wait for your roof to collapse to learn these lessons. Your home is your most valuable asset. Protect it properly. Understand your policy, maintain your home, and know that you have the power to ensure that if disaster strikes, you won't be left holding a blank check. You'll be holding the keys to a fully repaired home. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.